to episode 17 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things. This week coming to you from a very grey and gloomy London. If this is your first time with the podcast, thank you so much for giving me a chance. I hope you enjoy it. And if you are a returning viewer, I hope you have your knitting and a cup of tea. You can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry. And you can also find the Tea and Possibilities group on Ravelry as well if you just search for Tea and Possibilities under the group tab. All the show notes, as always, will be in my blog, and you can find a link to everything I've just mentioned just down below. This week's tea is in my regular London mug, which is my Hufflepuff mug, and to be honest with you, I've almost finished it. It's good old builder's tea this morning, and as I said, it's pretty gloomy out today, so I went for a very, very strong cup of tea to give me a bit of rocket fuel this morning because I don't really drink coffee. And it's quite a busy weekend. Rich is here, which is why I'm filming in London this weekend, and his brother is also visiting from Cornwall, so we're hoping to see him later on. Rich has gone out to see him just now, so I will be running out the door as soon as I finish filming. Before we get into the podcast proper, I just wanted to make a quick announcement about March. As you know, my birthday is at the beginning of March. I am going to Edinburgh Yarn Festival. We're actually making it an extended Edinburgh trip for Rich and I, both to do some things that we'd like to do as a bit of a birthday treat for me. But what I haven't mentioned is that March is full of other birthdays, for one. I've got a couple of very close friends who are also turning 30, so there are a lot of birthday shenanigans going on. And March is also the month that Rich will be officially moving from Portsmouth to London, which I am so excited about, and I'm so pleased that we can finally stop the back and forth. But as you can imagine, that's going to make it a very, very busy month. I just wanted to let you know all of this because that means I don't quite know what my podcast schedule is going to look like in March. I'm hoping to get a couple of episodes out, but I can't guarantee it. So I am planning on doing a bit more vlogging so that there will be something up on the channel every week. I won't disappear completely. So even if I don't manage to get more than one podcast done in March, there will be other things going up. I will definitely be sharing some video of general things that we did in Edinburgh, as well as my time at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. I will probably put together a little birthday video to let you know what I got up to, because I've got a lot of fun things planned for my actual birthday. And I've of course got the February favourites video to go up in the next couple of weeks. So there will be some content, just please bear with me if the podcast kind of goes into a slight hiatus. The silver lining, of course, is that when I get back there will be loads more to show you, and as you'll see in Whipped Up, there may even be some FOs coming up. So yeah, I hope you all understand that life in March is going to get in the way a little bit. It's going to be really, really lovely to have Rich back in London permanently. I'm so pleased about it, as you can probably tell by the massive grin on my face. So it's going to be fantastic, and normal service will fully resume at the end of March. Just as a side note, I am aware that whenever I film in London, I'm always saying how gloomy and grey it is. And I just want to reassure you that London is not always like that. I am from London, I grew up here, I love this city so much, and it can be incredibly beautiful. There is nothing quite like being on the South Bank on a glorious summer's day, and the blue sky and the view and the people. It's absolutely beautiful. So please be assured that London is not varying shades of concrete, and on a brighter day I hope to take the camera out and show you around a bit of my city. Before we dive into Whipped Up, I would just like to share a very sweet bit of post I received this week. The lovely Vicky of Vicky Bird Designs, knowing that I have some kind of mental block about socks and therefore have no handmade socks, made me a pair for my birthday, and these are beautiful. They remind me of My Little Pony colours, and I had a lot of My Little Ponies when I was younger. And they're just so beautiful, and she sent them with in a lovely sparkly package, and there was a letter and some cards there, which I am saving for my actual birthday because I was quite naughty opening up a birthday present before my birthday. But they are so scrummy. I pulled them on last night because it was very cold last night. We were having a bit of a cold snap here, and they were so warm. They were so warm, and they fit like an absolute glove. So I have messaged Vicky to say thank you, of course, but also to say, can you tell me what pattern you used? Because I think if I knew what pattern she used, and I've got these for reference, maybe I could get my own pair that I've knit myself. But for the start of a hand knit sock collection, these are absolutely wonderful. They're so warm. I'm almost tempted not to wear them in shoes because I don't want to wear holes in them. And just a massive thank you to Vicky, who designs beautiful things, and you should totally check them out. Right then, let's move on to Whipped Up. This week has been a bit of an odd one, so I haven't got quite as much as I wanted to make. If you follow me on Instagram, you will know that sickness darkened our door here this week. My nan was quite unwell, and had to be taken into hospital to be rehydrated. Unfortunately, it's just that time of year when there are a lot of very nasty bugs going around. She is absolutely fine now. Please don't worry, she's absolutely fine. But it just meant that I didn't get quite as much done this week as I hoped to. I did lots of kind of scrappy work this week, which was good. It meant I could pick it up and put it down. And first up is my Crochet Girl Gang blanket. This is how many have their ends woven in. This is how many still have their ends to be woven in. I reckon I could get this done this evening. We are planning an evening in curling up, being really warm, and finishing the Man in the High Castle. And I reckon I can definitely get those ends woven in tonight, which means tomorrow, after our Sunday lunch, they can go on the dining table and be blocked, ready to be sewn together next week. Yes. I've actually found weaving in the ends, I wouldn't say I've enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that I was sat there going, oh, this is so much fun, I'm having the best time. But I didn't find it as arduous and as tedious as I thought I would. And I did the bulk of that on Wednesday evening. I literally just got them out, I emptied them all out, and as I finished them, put them into the second bag, and I just sat and I did them. And it was a couple of hours work, but I got so much of it done that it didn't feel like a trial anymore, because there's only a few more. It take me a couple of episodes of a TV show and they're done. Then they can be blocked, and I am so excited to put them together. You may have seen on my Instagram that before I started weaving in the ends, I laid them all out on the mat in the living room in the correct order. And I just had this moment of just, yes, I was miserable about having to weave in these ends, but it's gonna look so good. The colours, this colour pack was such a great choice. I believe it was Emma of Steel and Stitch who put this colourway together, and it is so beautiful. It just goes from, you've got the dark red triangles, and then you've got the yellow and the shades of orange through to the darker red, and then you finish with the yellow. And it's just this beautiful ombre, and the grey just ties it all together, and it looks so beautiful. The colours, I'm just so glad I got this kit. I'm really happy with it. I think it's going to be such a fun blanket, and I'm definitely going to finish it off with those tassels on the corners. So the plan is to start sewing those pieces together this week, which does mean that as there is no podcast next week, next time I see you, this is probably going to be finished. And I whisper that because best laid plans of mice and men, right? I don't want to promise you that it's going to be completely finished and then I turn up and I'm like, I've still got 20 pieces to weave in the ends on. But yeah, I am hoping to get that done really soon. Next up is my old buddy, old pal. This is my beautiful Dinah. She's still in pieces, I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's a weird thing to try and show people because I mean, as you know from last time I showed you, it doesn't really look like much. This is the Triceratops head kit by Sincerely Louise, and I cannot praise this highly enough. I have actually finished all the pieces now. So the two pieces I just showed you was the head. This is, if I can find the other part, this is the frill, because you know they have that frill along the back of their head. And these are the little horns, which they don't look like much, but they're really cleverly made, and they do, I have tried them with some stitch markers, and they do kind of go together, and then they're little horns like that. This kit is incredible. It gives you absolutely everything you need to make this, this Triceratops head. You've got the wooden board, and that's what the head will get mounted on so that it sits flush to the wall when you hang it. You get some Signet chunky yarn. You get it in two colours, depending on which colour where you choose. It will always come in two colours. So I got the dark purple with like a paley pink. And this is what I have left over from making this Triceratops head, from making all the pieces. And at no point was I terrified that I was going to run out. It was just the perfect amount. And you know, if anything went wrong or if I needed to sew anything up, I've got plenty left, so brilliant. Of course, there's the pattern, these gorgeous 9mm needles, and the rest of what's in here is the stuffing. You literally have everything you need to make this in the bag. The only thing that I'm adding to this is some stitch markers, because I think when putting this together, which I'm going to also attempt this week, wish me luck, I think it's going to be much easier with stitch markers. I've got some of the locking ones, so I'm going to put them together and then sew it. I am not a massive fan of seaming. I may have mentioned this before, but I'm really going to take my time over this, because in the grand scheme of things, it's not massive. There's not loads of seaming here, but it is, I think, essential to the piece. It's going to finish it so beautifully, and it's going to have a real impact on what it actually looks like. So I'm really going to take my time with this. Would I recommend this kit? Absolutely. As I said before, these needles are very chunky. I'm not used to working on the straights, and I'm not used to working with chunky yarn. So it did feel a little bit like I was rowing, particularly with the frill, which is quite long and therefore quite heavy. It's a bit, you know, heavy on the arms. But it knits up so quickly, it doesn't really matter. It's just a really well put together kit. It's a really clever pattern, very easy to follow. I would say if you can knit and purl, you can definitely make these pieces. If you can knit, purl, do basic increases and decreases, you can definitely knit this. I don't know if I would say it was for a beginner though, just because of the seaming. Once I have put it together and I have an idea of how tricky it was, I will let you know how easy it was, but I would definitely recommend this kit. It is just brilliantly made and really well put together. Gosh, it doesn't feel like very much at all. I knit this week the entire second frill and 3 horns, and did a lot of weaving in of ends, which is a lot less than I usually do. But as I said, it was a bit of an unusual week. What I have been doing, as I haven't quite had the time to knit or to crochet, I have been thinking about Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Normally I try to keep my bullet journal stuff in the Goal Power segment, which I haven't had for a while, but I haven't been doing anything different, so I haven't had anything to share. But I would like to share this in Whipped Up, because this is not really about goal setting, it's not really about how I set up my bullet journal. This is about Edinburgh Yarn Festival and what I will be looking out for there. It's basically just 2 lovely lists. This one here is for Edinburgh. So on this list I've got the Yarn Festival. Someone that I work with mentioned the Dog's Restaurant, so we're definitely going to check that out. There's also the Baked Potato Shop, which one of my lovely viewers mentioned to me. I'm really sorry that I can't remember your name, but I've got it written down here, so I will definitely be going to the baked potato shop. I've got the Wool Tribe walk that we definitely want to go on. There is a whiskey shop that Rich is desperate to go to. He absolutely loves whiskey, so he's looking forward to like trying something and finding something really new. I've got Ginger Twist Studio on here, of course. Cece and Dami of the Geeky Girls Knit talk so much about Ginger Twist Studio. I'm dying to go there and maybe get some hand dyed. That'd be really lovely. And there's a couple of other things on here, like the National Museum of Scotland, Arthur's Seat, and a Scottish breakfast. It's not the most healthy thing in the world, but I am incredibly fond of a cooked breakfast. There is nothing quite like a big plate of scrambled egg and beans and hash browns and toast and sausages and bacon, and, you know, when in Scotland, get a Scottish version, right? So yeah, I'm keeping a list of all the recommendations, of all the things I would like to check out or try while we're there. I've got plenty more room to add some things, so if you have any more recommendations, do let me know. And over on this side, as you can see, I haven't filled it in yet, and I will go into why. This is my EYF Lust list. So much as I want to go and browse and just kind of, you know, get some things, I'm not a very good stasher. We don't have a lot of room. We don't have a lot of storage. We've always had quite small flats. It's London, in Portsmouth even our flat was quite small and there wasn't much storage. So I try to buy for things that I'm making. Occasionally this means, like a couple of weeks ago, I buy for upcoming projects rather than things I'm ready to cast on the moment it comes out of the bag. But I do try not to buy things just because they're pretty, because I'm aware that they could sit there for ages until I find the right thing. So I was planning to go with the idea of a couple of projects, and I'm going to fill in on that list what those projects are, what weight, how much yarn I need, and kind of any other things that I might want to bear in mind, like these are the colours you were looking for, just to keep myself on track, so that I can get pretty things, but that I know are going to be put to work. Now originally I was going to pop the Barbel hat by Donna Smith on this list, and it's still going on there, absolutely. And I was probably going to put a couple of sweater quantities of yarn. And then the Find Your Fade hit the knitting world. If you haven't heard of it, I don't know how you've escaped, because I feel like every single podcast I watch, people are knitting a Find Your Fade. Every Instagram account I follow, people are knitting a Find Your Fade. It's just stunning. It's a beautiful shawl pattern from Andrea Mowry, who makes beautiful stuff, and I have quite a lot of her things queued already on my Ravelry queue. I haven't knit any of them yet. I really want to knit a jumper that she designed, which I believe was called May. But the Find Your Fade, I said I don't need that. I don't really wear shawls. Definitely don't need that. That's so much knitting, that's so much yarn that I don't already have, because it's meant to be a bit of a stash buster, because it uses 7 different colours which melt into each other. And I resisted, just like I resisted the granny stripe. And then Katie of Inside Number 23 finished hers. And as I mentioned last week, she had mentioned that there's a lot of garter in there, and my heart grew 3 sizes and said, please, if there's that much garter, please can we knit it? And I said, no, we're not doing it. And then I watched Katie's podcast, and she didn't just show off her fade, her finished fade. She took it out into the garden, and she got her husband Emrys to film her showing it off, wearing it, because it was so big she couldn't just have it on the podcast, because she would have just been like, slide going this colour. It's huge, and when I saw her wrap it round herself, I was a goner, guys. That was it. I had to have it. So I've downloaded the pattern, and I'm very happy to say that Andrea includes a schematic at the end. It's a very simple shawl, so it's not a particularly complicated schematic, but I am planning to draw it out a few times on my lust list and colour it in like a child and just get an idea of the colours that I want to include, because I wear a lot of blues. Green is my favourite colour. I love purple, I love yellow. I can't really wear yellow next to my face because quite pale. So I tend to wear more jewel tones. And I didn't want something that was super rainbowy because, you know, I've got my Bifrost for that, so I don't need anything super rainbowy. But I just want to play with colour, and I think what I'm going to do is just draw them out, and then I'll have my trusty bullet journal in my bag on the day of EYF, and I've already told Rich, this is our mission at EYF, we've got to find 7 skeins and they've all got to flow into each other, and his response was, okay, what colours? Silly boy. I mean, who knows? Who knows what colours I'm looking for at this point? So yeah, that could be interesting. He was very confused by that. He was like, how can we find 7 colours when we don't know what they are? And I said, well, no, we will know when we see them. So yeah, as you can tell, I am very excited about potential Find Your Fade. I love a big snuggly wraparound knit. I think I've worn it on the podcast before, my Crafts from the Kutch colour block shawl that I knit out of Sheepier's Stonewashed XL, and that's a big colour blocked garter stitch triangle with tassels, and I love it. I have worn it to death this winter and it desperately needs a soak and a depilling, but no, I haven't. It's so warm and snuggly, I haven't got round to that yet. So yeah, that's what got me about the Find Your Fade, when I saw how enormous it was and I realised how I could just wrap it round and just be, it's just going to be amazing. And it's going to take me 10 years to knit because it's massive, but that'll be a happy 10 years, it'll be fine. Is this a contender for my best year ever, Cal? Probably. It's going to be cast on in Edinburgh, so I would say very, very likely yes. As this is my last episode before I go to Edinburgh, I just wanted to give you some final bits of information about Edinburgh Yarn Festival. Unfortunately, I will not be attending the podcaster lounge. There are a couple of reasons for that. The first is that I'm going with Rich, and it seemed kind of unfair on him to be trailing him around too much. And secondly, I've mentioned before on the podcast that I'm quite introverted. I'm a little bit shy, and I don't know, I think I'm a bit nervous about the idea of going to it. So we will be there on the Friday, and I will be, as I have said, questing for my Find Your Fade. So if you do see me, please do come up and say hello. I would absolutely love to meet you, and I would love to hear, you know, what you're working on, what are you wearing, what are you here in Edinburgh looking for? So yeah, please come up. Even though I'm not going to the podcaster lounge, please do come up and have a chat and say hello. And again, we are going to Edinburgh Yarn Festival, but we will be in Edinburgh for just under a week. So if you have any recommendations, anything I might have left off my list, please do let me know. So I hope you will forgive me for a slightly shorter episode this week. As I said at the top of the episode, there won't be a podcast next week as Rich will be in Portsmouth, I will be here, and there will be no camera for me to use, unfortunately. And there won't be a podcast the following week because I will be in Edinburgh. However, do look out for my February Best Year Ever Cal video, and do keep an eye out for my Edinburgh prep. What am I going to take to Edinburgh Yarn Festival? What we get up to in Edinburgh video, the Edinburgh Yarn Festival video, and depending on how much I buy, I might do my Edinburgh haul as a separate video. In the meantime, have a lovely knitty few weeks, and I will see you very soon, or as soon as I can, for another cup of tea. Take care, bye!